spiraling.
No,
you're
I'm not
spiraling.
No.
You're spiraling.
Tim,
you're not even stopping talking
because you just
you're not even stopping talking.
You never
you're gonna,
think out anything that you
We're gonna say something.
We're
gonna talk, or are you gonna keep just talking about nonsense?
You in front of all of your audience.
Are you gonna wait?
So Tim Pool has had enough of radical leftist Kyle Kulinski, especially after his recent take as it pertained to Joe Rogan. Let's have a look.
A few weeks ago, Kyle Kulinski had a viral tweet where he highlighted clips from the Joe Rogan podcast where Joe was saying many progressive, leftist, and liberal things. He tweeted, Rogan went from saying stuff like this to endorsing a corrupt billionaire authoritarian conman warmonger who stands against virtually every policy he claimed to believe in. And he does this as sort of a way to impugn the honor and integrity of Joe Rogan. But Joe Rogan was actually always more of a middle-of-the-road guy. And if you watch his show at any point ever, yeah, he's fairly middle-of-the-road guy, and he leaned towards Bernie and Tulsi and was kind of progressive. He was a big fan of universal basic income. Instead of asking why it is that Dave Rubin, a long time ago, Tim Pool, several years ago, Joe Rogan, Anna Kasparian, Colin Wright, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. Man, the list goes on. Instead of any one of these people asking themselves why it is that the left has lost so many people, they play stupid games where they just seek to insult and belittle. Kyle Kulinski is a great example of this. He is currently getting roasted for being an obedient, authoritarian lapdog. And that's what we see. Now, for me, look, I don't know. I talk about what I think is true. I get a lot wrong because knowledge is limited and we do our best. I try to understand situations. I try to give you the facts. And I'll give you my opinions, of course. This is an opinion show. What do we see in the corporate press and what do we see from the left? Consistently and always, it is some kind of manipulation or lie about what's really going on. Instead of telling you the truth and then giving you logic behind it, they say outright, misrepresentation, lie, or otherwise. In fact, I'll give a shout out to Sam Seder. This guy from the Majority Report comes on the show, the Culture War podcast, Friday mornings, and literally goes on an unhinged rant claiming that I hold the position I don't hold, and I know exactly what he's doing. He is making a fake clip for the purpose of getting attention. After he's done with his angry rant, he goes, that's the clip I was trying to get. It's fake. Now, at least this guy, he knows what he's doing. For people like Kyle Kulinski, it's all just, I don't know, lack of ability to think critically. Here's where Joe Rogan is. Joe Rogan is a guy who wants to know what's true.
You know what? That was actually a really good point. And let's have a look at that clip.
Force her to do something that
you're spiraling.
No,
you're
I'm not
spiraling.
No.
You're spiraling.
Tim,
you're not even stopping talking
because you just
you're not even stopping talking.
You never think out anything that you say.
We're gonna say something.
We're
gonna talk, or are you gonna keep just talking about nonsense?
You in front of all of your audience.
Are you gonna wait for your prop clipping?
Rapist
You're prop clipping, Sam.
Act.
You're prop clipping.
I don't even know what that means.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. You're
What
prop
does it
clipping
mean?
again.
What is prop clipping?
You're not arguing abortion anymore.
What is prop clipping?
You said, Tim, you're full of crap. You're not arguing abortion anymore.
Because
you disgust me. Oh, rape, blah, blah. You stopped arguing.
You're saying that
you stopped arguing and you started doing performative garbage for the camera.
No, I'm not.
You want to have a discussion, Sam?
Dude, the best part of this.
Do you want to have a discussion, or are you going to keep talking?
Tying you in knots about the idea that a rapist can force a woman.
Here you go again. Here you go again. You're making things up.
I'm reiterating.
You're prop clipping.
I am reiterating.
You're prop clipping.
I am reiterating your
You're
position.
getting overly emotional. You're getting heated. You're finger pointing. You're throwing slurs and name calling. You're
full of slur.
Well, forgive me. You're so full of crap. You disgust me. This is not an
honestly.
You want to have a discussion?
I got to be honest with you.
You want to have a discussion, or you're going to have an emotional breakdown?
You know what? I am going to continue with the so-called emotional breakdown because honestly, I think
that's right, Sam.
No, I honestly.
Let's solve our problems by Sam just freaking out and having emotional breakdowns on camera.
I honestly think that what you do is so damaging.
Oh no!
And this
here he goes.
Whole notion that you would allow.
It took 2 hours and 40 minutes for you to break.
Yeah,
you
this
broke.
whole
Sam.
Why are you keeping me from talking?
Because you haven't let me talk one time.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Victims of crimes who want accountability have responsibilities.
What if they don't want accountability? What if they don't want to put themselves on the stand and have to point out
don't get accountability.
that guy? Okay, but they have to carry the baby, right? According to you.
If they don't want accountability, then this is
then they have to carry the baby.
This is reality.
Say it.
A woman.
Say it. If they
I will
don't
say it as
want
plainly
accountability,
as I can say
they
it
have to
100%.
carry that rapist baby.
If a woman does not want accountability for her rape, she will carry that baby.
She has to.
She has to, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, up to 15 weeks.
That's the prop clip I want right
up
there.
to 15 weeks.
What a total clown. I can't believe Sam Seder was actually welcome on Tim Pool's show. But anyways, let's continue with the original video of Tim Pool breaking down Kyle Kulinski.
Now, at least this guy, he knows what he's doing. For people like Kyle Kulinski, it's all just, I don't know, lack of ability to think critically. Here's where Joe Rogan is. Joe Rogan is a guy who wants to know what's true. And so he's sitting there, doesn't read the news as heavily as many people, but probably more than the average person. He's looking things up on his show to see if it's true or not. And I'll give you an example of where I think Joe goes wrong. See, me, I'm more of a, sometimes I think I'm pretty dang sure of things. People get mad at me when I argue and say, no, this I'm right about. Not everybody does. And sometimes I say, well, I'll take your word for it. Just the other night, we're talking with Dudley Brown. And I said, that quote from Donald Trump where he said, take the guns first and then go through the courts second, that was out of context. He says, no, I had people in the room. I know that quote. He said, I said, well, I'll take your word for it. Why? Because maybe I'm wrong. So I looked it up. I was wrong. And see, that's the game I'm willing to play. I had read an article. There was a video from NBC that showed only a short clip. And I said, wait a minute, he's referencing something else. Then I saw the full clip, went back and checked it. He told me I was wrong. I said, okay, I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm pretty dang sure I'm right, and I'll argue it. Sometimes I won't. I go on Joe Rogan's show. I made the point on his show that more than half the country had permitless carry. It was constitutional carry. He says, that can't be true. That's wrong. Jamie, pull it up. What ends up happening is Jamie pulls up a search, and it said something like 13 states of constitutional carry. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, I guess I was wrong. Maybe it meant land mass or something. I don't know. I must be wrong. See, that's actually where I must take fault, not for being wrong. I was actually correct. The issue was I wasn't confident enough in my position because I'm not someone who, if I don't recall and know the exact detail and the fact, I'd be willing to accept a fact check. Here's the issue I see with Joe and these viral clips is that he does a quick Google search and checks and goes, yeah, you're wrong about that. It turns out, and this is several years ago, I was right. So there were 25 states, I believe, that were constitutional carry with one. At Florida, it's open, I think, permitless concealed carry, but not open carry, which is, not complete constitutional carry. Joe does try to know the truth. He does fact check more than most people. But a cursory search led him to the wrong conclusion, and I should have been a bit more confident in my assertion, but I wasn't. This is why you see these viral clips where Joe says things or whatever. Now, what ends up happening later on is the media is spiraling out of control. Kyle Kulinski himself is spiraling out of control. His tweets are becoming unhinged, and I'll give you an example. Let me see if I can, where do we have this? Do I not have that poster? Oh, here we go. Kyle Kulinski posts this. It's emotional. It's a picture of Trump that's been photoshopped to make him look just miserably awful. Let me tell you the difference between Kyle Kulinski and me. Here's my picture of Joe Biden. I said, never forget what they took from us. And it's an AI-generated, ultra-ripped Joe Biden. It's the inversion. Yes, I made a fake picture of Joe Biden. The humor is I made him look as good as I could. This is me laughing along, not angrily insulting Joe Biden. The humor here is that Joe Biden's an old man. I'm not trying to mock him, sort of. I'm making a funny play on him being ultra-ripped. This is what Kyle Kulinski does. But let me tell you where the left currently is. Kyle has this post, and he says, average Joe Rogan enjoyer. It's kind of wild that he went from being this rational guy to this unhinged, overly emotional, mental breakdown kind of guy. Scientists, and it says, yes, there's a guy, it says, a man who saw a YouTube video, yes, you are all wrong. Average Joe Rogan enjoyer. It's kind of wild, Kyle. Hasn't Kyle gone on Rogan's show? Isn't he friends with Joe? I'm pretty sure Joe's referred to them as friends in shows past. Maybe I'm wrong. But why is Kyle so angry and so unhinged? The responses are great. Ian Miles Chong highlighting, and I called him out for this too, a post from Kyle Kulinski where he says, this is the land by Colorado, Kansas border from a plane. Pretty cool. I have no idea how or why it looks like this. And everyone's like, my dude, those are farms. He didn't know that. That's crazy. It's kind of crazy. And then James Lindsay responds, meanwhile, the scientists, have you ever thought to yourself, how do I know that 2 + 2 = 4? Why isn't it 2 + 2 = 5? PhD student talks about numbers. 2 + 2 = 5. Really? Yes, I watched a YouTube video and I said, you're wrong to the psychotic scientists claiming that 2 + 2 = 5. And then I'll give a shout out to Michael Malice, who breaks it down for us. He responded by saying low quality people would love a social credit score because obedience is one of the few metrics they can compete on. That's not a joke. That's the truth. Kyle Kulinski is screaming, love me, government. Love me, deep state. Love me, narrative machine. Now, I tell you this. I think Trump will give us a marginally good presidency. I'm not expecting these massive hyper reforms. With Matt Gaetz, we were getting pretty excited that something would happen. But yeah, it seemed like that was just a play of some sort. So we'll see. Pam Bondi, maybe. Trump seems to be doing a bit better this time around. RFK Jr. Tulsi Gabbard was a good play.
And that's what the mainstream narrative was for a long time. Cater to what the deep state wants you to do, right? Say the things that used to be allowed on Twitter that would get, wouldn't get you banned from Twitter or blocked because you were going against the deep state. We'll just keep calling it, which to me is the weak men making tough times part of that equation, versus folks like myself who have essentially elected to do things the hard way. But thankfully, now that Elon Musk has bought Twitter and changed it to X, gave a lot of people their accounts back, which not everybody, I get it. Some of the smaller accounts are probably never going to get their accounts back. But a lot of the voices that were counter the mainstream narrative are now back on X. And it allows the best ideas to rise to the top and the bad ideas to fall to the bottom and be shunned from society, essentially, which makes it a little easier for channels like mine to actually gain some traction and have a chance in this world that is run by the swamp, right? Whereas folks like Kyle Kulinski, Sam Seder, they're just like, what's the easy path to take? And, that's those weak men causing hard times, whereas I'm out here trying to speak the truth, although I'm probably not always going to be right. I mean, who is? But at least I'm making the attempt to speak the truth. I'm willing to learn from my mistakes and grow and always get better. People like Tim Pool are the same, I believe, at least. Not trying to push some particular narrative, although I did wholeheartedly put my support behind Donald Trump winning this election with hopes that he won't do some of the similar things as far as his appointments that he did in his first term. And it's looking a little bit better this time around. We need him to end these wars and deliver on some of the promises. And I wanted to remind people that getting him elected was just the first step. Now we need to hold him and everybody that he appoints and everybody else in the House and, Congress and stuff like that, hold their feet to the fire, essentially. When they get a victory for us, we'll give them a little pat on the back, and then we'll ask them, all right, now on to the next thing, or say to them, now on to the next thing. We're never going to become complacent. We're always going to demand more from these people because ultimately these people are getting paid a lot of money to make our lives better. So with that, I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving, and make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video, all that good stuff. If you are an America First type individual, you are in the right place, and I appreciate you watching to the end. I'll see you guys in the next one.